Fa la 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 la! Welcome everyone to my Indiemas Book Challenge 2023. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel Read Good, Draw Bad, where we love to read really, really good and draw really fa la 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 bad. It is that time of year to put ourselves in the spirit. Ho 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 ho. And I like to give myself the gift of books every Christmas for the simple reason that it's too complicated to explain to people who love me where to find these books. And more importantly, if you're like me and you like to support smaller authors, as in authors with less recognition, or indie authors as they're often called, who write amazing, fun, cute, I need another word for amazing. Books that are just out of this world good, but don't get a lot of recognition, then you might also want to join me on what I am calling my second year of Indiemas, which is an indie author buying book Christmas event. So every year I go online and I ask people for suggestions of what was the best books you read from indie authors this year. I'm just trying to put my money where my mouth is, and I will be buying a bunch of books while we make this video. There's lots of people who want to promote indie authors, and I continually try and get in touch with these people who don't have as much clout, but really would love for you to read their book. So what I did is I went on several social media platforms like I did last year. I asked people to recommend me a book that I think I would really like. And I gave them some examples of some of the indie authors that got recommended to me last year. This is one of the easy ways for me to do two good things at one time: support independent authors and buy books for myself. So just like last year, I have some rules for purchasing indie books for this reading challenge, or shall I say, spending spree. So rule number one is I have to easily be able to find a way to purchase your book. And one of the problems I found last year when I was looking for indie authors, it's really hard sometimes to find the purchase links for books. And also the second rule of that means it must be available for purchase in Canada. Because I live in Canada, it's really difficult for me to buy ebooks from the United States because there's like different publishing laws and stuff. And I don't have any more room on my bookshelf, so no more physical books for right now. What I am going to do is I'm going to go through all the different social media suggestions I got for what to read this year, and we'll just sort of go through the list together and we'll just kind of take a look at this list. And then we will buy. Because the truth is most independent books are not that expensive, and you could find yourself a really great read for a really great deal on most book buying websites. Now, full disclosure, I do have a Kindle Unlimited account and I do use it for a variety of books, and I've been trying to do research from a financial perspective of whether it's better to buy the book outright or to use Kindle Unlimited, because depending on the author, sometimes it's better for you to read their entire book. If it's a long book, they might get paid a bit more than the price that they display it on to buy the book outright. This year I chose mostly science fiction and fantasy to read over the holidays because I thought that would be a nice distracting read from my top 100 novels of the 20th century, which are all about war and existentialism, hoping to take a step back from reality. So I was very lucky because I was recommended by one user on Reddit, who I will shout out a little bit later, recommended a list made by Mark Lawrence, who is an excellent fantasy author. And he also has a blog and he has a really good list there. And so the first thing I want to do is go look through the top 10 of the fantasy indie books that other people have sort of crowdsourced and crowd voted on for what they think are excellent books this year. So the first book on this list is called Master of the Void by Wend Raven, and I really love the cover, so I'm really digging that. Being a person who has no magic in the Seven Lands where everyone has magic, so that is already a great premise for me. That already sounds very excellent to me, so I am going to add this to my list. Okay, so the next one on my list that's on this top 10 list from Mark Lawrence is called The Wickwire Watch, which I already love for the alliteration, and I feel like I've heard the name before, and on Goodreads it is quite popular. So it sounds like a thief in a magical world story. I'm totally all about it. This for me is like an insta-buy kind of story, so I'm gonna go ahead and purchase this book. The next one I have on the list is something called The Fall Is All There Is by C.M. Kaplan. Fall Is All There Is seems to be sort of a cyborg or sci-fi fantasy novel which involves sort of kings and monarchies, but also cyborg more horses and cool sci-fi sword technology. I do generally like sci-fi fantasy blended genres when they're done really well. So the next book on this list is called The Daughter of the Beast, and wow, I love the cover, so I'm really excited about that. This book is steeped in Slavic myth and takes the point of view that the women in this particular tribe or family are monsters. I love reads that have sort of monster and fantasy elements where who are the real monsters in the story? You know, so are they really scary monsters? I need to know more. Who's the monster? Who's the monster here? Another one on this list that caught my eye is one called The Last Fang of God by Ryan Kirk. And I partially liked it because the title is just so intriguing. And when I read the description, it sounds like the gods in this particular world are refusing to die, and instead it's the humans who are suffering. So all the tribes that have gods associated with them are fighting and warring, and so it sounds like a story with a lot of intrigue, and also involves like divine powers that are maybe up to no good. You know, divine powers, if you had lots of divine power, would they be fair? And I love books like this. Okay, the next one on this list, and also one that I have heard of and I've seen a little bit on Goodreads, is The Murder at Spindle Manor. And the title itself is intriguing. I'm hoping it's a mystery of some kind. Okay, this is like a werewolf or mafia setup, if you've ever played that game with your friends, where someone is the traitor, and at this manor, there's someone intent on hunting all the guests, and they're a monster of some kind. So yes, this is totally right up my alley. I love a story where you're trying to catch a villain. Very fun. I'm totally into it. Another book that caught my eye on this list is Cold West by Clayton Snyder. And I really like the cover on this one. I thought maybe it would be like a gritty, sort of grimdark, as they call it, fantasy potentially. And this book in particular is kind of an anti-hero story. So the main character is not the nicest guy, but you're still rooting for him because he does a lot of cool stuff and kicks a lot of butt and takes a lot of names. I really enjoy sort of darker cowboy fantasy style novels where they try and take someone alone in a inhospitable environment and try and make them into some kind of hero. I love stories like that, so I'm going to go ahead and purchase it. Other book on this list that looks kind of interesting just from the cover is called Hills of Heather and Bone by K.E. Andrews. And this is what people are calling sort of a more cozy fantasy, and I like cozy fantasy, so I'm quite intrigued by it. One of the ones that was on this list that really caught my eye, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna love it no matter what, is something called Arrival Most Vile, and it's spelled VIAL, so kind of like a potion maker's vial. 2 potion shops, 1 heated rivalry, until hate bubbles over into something else. I don't need to read the rest of the premise. I'm just going to go ahead and purchase this, and I'll let you know what I think later. Maybe on my TikTok channel, which is @ReadGoodDrawBad on TikTok. So feel free to follow me there. I also went through Reddit. This year, I had some amazing suggestions from people, and I just want to say thank you to everyone on the thread. I have to say a big thank you on Reddit to Delilah Wan, who was the person who suggested Mark Lawrence's book list to me. I'm going to be purchasing your book as well as part of this video. It sounds awesome. It's called Petition, and it's part of a series called The Resonance Crystal Legacy, which already, like, I love the name of that as a series. It sounds very fun. It's about a young woman whose family gives up everything for this young woman to get super magical powers in her particular world, and then she's going to use those powers to fight against some evil forces that are in her world, while at the same time using those powers to hopefully save her family. Also, there was an author who reached out to me personally to promote their own books, and thank you for making some suggestions to me. I really enjoyed reading about your book series, The Rules of Supervillainy, which sounds very interesting, funny, and messy, so I am going to go ahead and purchase it right now. And I appreciate you pointing me out to your book, I Was a Teenage Weredeer. I don't know, maybe if you love the idea of werewolves, but you'd prefer to eat grass, then this might be the book for you. So one of the books recommended me from the Reddit group was the book, The Savior's Champion. And if you look at this cover, it looks so good. So I'm already excited about it. So I'm going to go ahead and purchase it, and I'll let you know what I think about it later. Now, one of the funnier suggestions given to me was this book that I have to read the title because it's quite long. The Utterly Uninteresting and Unadventurous Tales of Fred the Vampire Accountant. And it is book 1 of 8 of Fred the Vampire Accountant. So even though his life isn't very interesting, there's a lot of books written about him. But I love the premise. I love hero stories that are about people who seem average but actually have the necessary qualities to be the hero of the hour that we all need. All right, time to buy this sucker. So I also was recommended a modern fantasy book by Astrid Knight. which I love. The title tells me already that it's going to be about a tabletop RPG, something like Dungeons and Dragons, which could be quite interesting. From the description, there seems to be some like queer or LGBTQ plus elements to it, so I'm really interested about that. So the one I'm going to end on, the one I think I'm most excited about, is called Bringing Home the Rain by Bob McGough. And it's a whole saga that's based on sort of southern United States and about magic in this area that's kind of more rural America. So let me read the description, because I think the description on the page is really nice. Howard Marsh is a lot of things: a liar, a thief, a poor man's wizard. He's a product of a miserable county with more dirt roads than paved. We find him at the bottom, living as a water witch, a copper thief, a finder of lost things. Living in a storage shed, trying to maintain what's left of the frayed relationships of the few family members who will still talk to him. What an interesting premise. You have someone who's the most down out on their luck. From what the other reader reviews say, that says there's a lot of humor and he's kind of a fast talking detective type. So it suggests to me that this will be like another in the theme of Dresden Files, which means I will probably really enjoy it. Okay, well, I just bought a ton of books. I think I have my holiday reading set out for me. I just want to say thank you so much to the people on the Our Fantasy thread, as well as the people on Twitter who suggested me books. I did my best to look through all the books that I thought would make it into this video. Hopefully I did all of them. I might have missed a few, and I think some of the books that I talked about today are really creative and really fun, and I'll leave links to their store links in the description below, and you can check them out if you're so interested. I'll also leave a link to Mark Lawrence's list, which I think is a great list of books. Okay, that's it for Indiemas 2023. I love reading and learning about indie authors, because some of the series that were recommended to me in Indiemas 2022 are things that I really, really enjoy. Things like Unsold by Will White, and as well, Battle Mage Farmer from last year was suggested to me, which is a phenomenal series, and I was a huge fan of it. Do you have a favorite new indie author that you would like to recommend? Please leave me a comment in the comments below, or if you've read any of these books and you've loved them, please tell me in the comments. I would love to hear what you think of them. Okay, like, share, and subscribe. I have a bunch more videos lined up. I have filmed a ton of them. I have so many things I want to say. I just have to get around to finishing the editing. I look forward to sharing all of that with you in the near future, in probably 2024. There might be a short break where I take 2 weeks off to kind of do what I need to do and spend time with family over the holidays, but I will probably still be active on TikTok at Read Good Draw Bad. Thanks so much for watching. This was a really fun video to do, and as always, stay curious, stay reading.